We're here with the Reminiscing with History Makers. Start us out just by telling us who you are and how you joined APCO and when.
Tony Harrison. Joined APCO in the Oklahoma chapter in about 1990.
Okay. During your time here at APCO, can you tell us what agencies you worked for and the positions you held, and some of the responsibilities of those positions and the length of service you had?
Worked mostly during my time in the public safety sector with the Oklahoma City Police Department. Joined APCO as the training coordinator and then became a supervisor. Left Oklahoma City in 2000 after the big Y2K and went into the private sector and have been the president and founder of the Public Safety Group Dispatcher Training Organization for now the last 25 years. Been a member of the Oklahoma, Florida, and North Carolina chapters.
Awesome. Can you describe what drew you to join APCO? And was there a particular person or event that was influential in that?
You know, I'd heard a little bit as a telecommunicator about APCO. So when I got promoted, I was encouraged by some other people to join the organization. And shortly after joining the organization, one of the leaders of the organization really encouraged me to get involved. It was Lex Rutter, who was a radio technician from the Tulsa Airport, technology guy from the Tulsa Airport in Oklahoma. And he really encouraged me to get involved, run for office, and then became chapter president.
Great. Can you describe some of your APCO activities at the state, chapter, or national level during your time here at APCO, and what was your favorite?
Yeah, I served as a chapter president, second vice president. We also had, back when we had regional conferences, a co-chair of the Gulf Coast Regional Conference we had in Oklahoma City many years ago. And, I started to do some work on the national level in the mid-1990s. I was kind of thrust upon a national stage after the Oklahoma City bombing. I was a supervisor on duty during that, and we started to give a lot of presentations. One of the first presentations we gave was at the national conference in Detroit, where they basically shut down the entire conference, so several of us from Oklahoma City could give a presentation just 4 months after the incident. Shortly after that, I started to serve on various committees. Over my time, I've served on 2 projects. The original training standard project back in 1995, and then the 311 project that was in 1996. And then since then, I've served on many committees. I was on the Commercial Advisory Committee, which then transitioned to the Commercial Advisory Council for about 15 years. Homeland Security, awards. I've lost track of some of the committees and task force that I've been asked to serve on, and it's hard to pick out one highlight during that time. I don't serve much on committees in the last couple of years. I've wanted to spend a little bit more time with family and responsibilities at home. But after 9/11, some of the work we did on some of the Homeland Security Task Force, some of the awards work, we really looked at adding, it used to be just Telecommunicator of the Year. But a subcommittee of the committee I was on, started it. We didn't even have an awards committee. It was another committee. We talked about having the awards committee, adding some of these other awards that we now give other than Telecommunicator of the Year, Supervisor of the Year, Team Award, serving in that capacity with those other great people that were on that committee. That really helped change how we recognize people in the organization.
That's awesome. Has your APCO membership had a direct effect on your career in public safety communications?
There's no doubt it has. I was put on the committee to look at 311. President Clinton, he was running for president at the time, had recommended this non-emergency, this nationwide non-emergency number. And after that came out in the press, APCO formed a committee, a project, to take a look at it. And I was asked to serve on that committee with a lot of other great people. And then when the local news media got hold of it and my chief of police was asked about it, And, by the time it rolls to the communications center, my captain was able to go, oh, yes, Tony serves on the national committee to look at this and to examine it. The chief was able to go back to the news media and immediately tell them that, we have somebody in the city that is, looking at this not only on a city level, but a national level as well. Spent a number of years as an APCO adjutant instructor, going around and teaching several of the APCO classes. It was extremely rewarding to be able to do that for a number of years under some great APCO Institute leaders.
What do you like most about APCO?
I like the people. It's the connections. It's the people. I still have friends today that, I met at my first national conference that, Matt Stillwell, also a life member, I met him in Detroit, and, we've become friends, we're, lifelong friends. There was never a time that if I didn't need something as a supervisor, as a APCO member, because someone asks you a question, you don't know all the answers. But I always knew someone who was smarter than me through APCO, whether it was radio technician or radio stuff or operational things or legal things that were happening. I always knew through my connections through APCO, I always knew who to call. I knew who I could email to get an answer, and that's been the most rewarding part is the people and the connections.
I would agree with that. What does APCO do better than anyone else?
It's the largest, it's the oldest organization. It has that history. It is tried to always be on the forefront of activities. It's a great organization, and they've always worked very hard at maintaining that.
With the advent of NG 911, what does APCO need to do to stay current with emerging technologies?
I talk to people now about NG 911. I want to tell them it's not next generation; it's this generation. I mean, it's happening right now, and has been for some agencies for a couple of years. Some of us are going to be still 3, 4, 5 years out to some of these things, but we really have to take a lead on how is artificial intelligence. Can we employ it? People are employing it in non-emergency call taking. Where do we employ it in emergency call taking? I think there is a time and a place to look at it, and how do we maintain the live telecommunicator, pay them, compensate them appropriately, appreciate them appropriately, more than just 1 week out of the year, but all year long. And, how do we move into this next world of what we are going to see? Because we're seeing more changes in the next couple of years than people like me have seen in 20 years, 25 years.
What stands out as a significant contribution during your time at APCO?
It's hard to, I like to, I think, my time as chair of the Commercial Advisory Committee and then council, I was the chair when we moved from a council to a committee and organizing that. My years as an adjunct instructor, it's hard to say there's nothing more important than going out there around the country, spreading the word of APCO, spreading their materials, and training new people, new instructors, certifying instructors. I was an adjunct when you had to go to a 40-hour-a-week instructor development class and, really get people prepared to go out and teach, the basic telecommunicator or the other programs.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. That's all we have for today.